Kane hated my Instagram post. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach. I'm a Switchologist. I make thoughtful weekly videos. Today's video is going to be thoughtful light, thoughtful-esque, because I am going to be ranking all of the very best moments of pop culture from 2025. I know that it's November, but I was itching to make this video, and I feel like pop culture moments tend to slow down at this period of time. So I'm just going to cover what's happened this year. This is only going to be things that crossed my personal radar. So if there are huge cultural moments that I didn't pick up on or include here, I didn't forget. I just have nothing to say about them. Okay. I did a pretty good inventory, I think, although there are probably some things that I forgot. But you know what? I can only do my best. There's almost 100 things here to discuss. So we really need to just get right into it. But before we do, let's have a word from the sponsor of today's video. You know when you've got 12 tabs open, there's music playing from your phone, and your laptop fan sounds like it's fighting for its life? My type B queens, can I get a hell yeah? Same. I finally fixed that chaos though with the sponsor of today's video, the Opera browser. It's basically built for multitasking music lovers. Opera has this integrated music player that connects directly to Spotify so that you can control your music without leaving your tabs or switching devices. You can even detach the player and drag it around, which is super fun, inside or outside the browser. It automatically pauses when you start a video, which is perfect for people like me who are working, scrolling, and doom spiraling all at the same time. I need to have different points of stimulation. Okay, I have ADHD, babe. And the best part, I think, is this new thing called the Sonic theme. It reacts to your music in real time. Like my whole browser literally pulses along when I listen to 365 by Charlie XCX. You can pick from a ton of color options too, from like a sleek monochrome to a full pink pop fantasy or brat green, so that it totally fits your vibe, your playlist, and your mood of the day. And of course, I wouldn't come to you without a great deal. For a limited time, you can even get up to 3 months of Spotify Premium for free, or 2 months if you've been a Spotify Premium user before just for using Opera. This offer varies per country, so head to the link in my description to check it out and see how it applies to you. Thank you again so much to Opera for sponsoring this video. Also go to patreon.com/switchologist for access to my full reactions, unedited videos, you name it, it's over there. And subscribe to my channel, because I know that many of you keep watching, you come back week after week, but you don't subscribe. That's mean and hateful. So why don't we remedy that? Subscribe to Switchologist now. The categories that we're going to be dealing with today are we needed this. This is something that, lifted us up in a very dark year, having a dark experience collectively, bad things are happening, and this brought us back. We're so back, not it's so over. Then I have Everybody Moved. So this is something that, everybody was talking about, everybody enjoyed, it was good, it was positive, it moved the culture forward somehow, who knows. Then I have That Happened, and I put a smiley face because this is kind of neutral. It's neutral, skeptical, I would say. It happened. We acknowledge that it happened. We don't wish that it didn't happen, but it didn't move us. Not everybody moved for this. I didn't like this. Pretty self-explanatory. And Eternal Sunshine, this out of my brain, please. Something that I wish I could forget. Now, how am I going to be deciding what I wish I could forget? Because there are going to be some things that are objectively terrible that I want to remember forever. So I think that's what you need to keep in mind. We're ranking based on how personally iconic I found these moments. Some of them are frustrating, some of them are upsetting, some of them are hilarious, some of them are iconic. It really depends. It's been a mixed bag for pop culture this year. We're living in weird times, and so our culture is doing weird things. Up first, let's start with some positivity. Takeagement. We needed this. We needed this. We needed Taylor Swift, the eternally heartbroken diva, to find her Prince Charming and ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. I think overall, this was a net positive experience. People enjoyed seeing the ring. We love to see the ring. Everybody learned a lot about candlelight diamonds. I didn't know about that. Now I do. World's biggest rock ever recorded. Probably not the case, but to me, she's a mammoth. We like to see the pictures. Taylor got clowned on for her Instagram caption, as she should, my corny millennial queen. Overall, this was received much better than her album, The Life of a Showgirl, which is interesting, but we'll get to that. Taylor's Masters, we needed this. Immediately, that is my favorite pop culture moment of 2025, period. Taylor Swift losing her master recordings was personally hurtful to me, okay? I took it personally and seriously, as you can see by the venom with which I have directed towards Scooter Braun, most evil, noted evil, terrible man in the world, towards him over the years. So to hear that she got them back and to get that announcement and to read her letter and hopefully to hear about it more in the Eras Tour docuseries, I couldn't be more grateful. That is like a scenario in which my hand heart, my full Swiftie comes out, and we simply have to stan. The Miss Possessive tour The Miss Possessive Tour. I'm putting this in We Needed This. Yep, Miss Possessive Tour. I have enjoyed every single clip that I have seen of the Miss Possessive Tour since it started. I think it's only gotten better as it's gone along. It's gone viral so many times for so many different reasons. I think that I often get misconstrued as like a Tater hater, that I don't like Tate McRae. I do like Tate McRae. I think that Tate McRae is doing something that other pop girls can't and or won't do in 2025, which is dance and perform. The art of the live performance is not dead in the hands of Tate McRae, and all I want is for her to make music that facilitates that correctly, which is why I'm kind of like skeptical about her album length efforts, because in general, I find them to be a little bit mid. What is never mid is a Tate McRae performance live on stage. Tate McRae is always serving. If there's a spotlight on and she's got her makeup done and her hair is done and there's a crowd watching, she's slaying. I think she doesn't even need to have her hair and makeup done to slay. She is such an incredible dancer, and tour is where she shines. Like, these are the moments where she's going to go viral. She may not constantly be in the top 5 of the Hot 100, but she's in the top 5 of everyone's brains on TikTok. And you know what? That is an accomplishment in and of itself. I have really enjoyed watching this tour go on, and I wish that I had been able to see it. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the music overall, I think that a Tate McRae show is well worth the money because of the talent and the caliber of what you're getting. And it really is like, she doesn't need all the bells and whistles of like the most elaborate, insane stage production, because her physicality is the point. That's why you're there. So I have to give my 10s where 10s are due. I just realized that I have not included So Close to What or Sports Car directly as a song itself. I have the VMA performance, don't worry, but I forgot to put those in moments, and I think that that just needs to be acknowledged for what it is. Everybody moved for Sports Car, I would say. I wouldn't put it in We Needed This because it didn't chart that well. I would have put So Close to What in That Happened positive, because you know how I feel about that album. Go watch my review of it. Cowboy Carter Tour. I'm going to say everybody moved. I'm not going to say We Needed This, because to me, personally, I was not a huge fan of Cowboy Carter. It's not a Beyonce record that has stuck with me. I have pulled almost none of those songs into like my permanent Beyonce rotation. It's just, I can respect and understand the artistry and the excellence of it, which is why I fully support Beyonce Album of the Year. We'll talk about that shortly. But the Cowboy Carter Tour, to me, first couple of nights, it looked a little bit messy. And this happened with the Renaissance World Tour too. It seems like she does launch these tours a little bit before they're ready, and then she refines as she goes along, which is an interesting way for Beyonce to tour. This is a thing that I've only noticed from the Renaissance tours onwards. And I guess that was something to notice. I really loved the unpredictability of the throwback section of the show that she was going to do. I thought that that was so fun. I loved the videos of her in the car. I thought the performance of Miley Cyrus was gorgeous. I mean, a Beyonce show is always worth the money, but I would say everybody moved for the Renaissance tour. I don't know that everyone was moving for the Cowboy Carter tour, and that is just my opinion. Again, all love, respect, and props to Beyonce. Jade, We Needed This. Something that I have loved about 2025 is seeing the pop girls really, enter their final forms, or enter their first final forms. Jade and Addison, particularly to me, Audrey Hobart, there are many divas that we're going to talk about today, but I think that Jade had one of the most interesting album rollouts, in that I think there was a lot of like stalled momentum. The gap between Angel of My Dreams and Fantasy and then what came next was strange. If you really look back on the rollout, it was a bit tenuous. It wasn't going to necessarily be a huge culture moving success because of the way the rollout was happening, and I suspect the label had a lot to do with that. But overall, I think that it's been really amazing to see Jade succeed, especially because she is, in terms of pop music relevancy and industry age, she's a little bit older than your average, breaking through pop star. And I think that it's very difficult to come through a girl group and come out as the successful person. I think it's especially difficult when you're not the first person to release. Usually the first girl out of the girl group gets all the momentum, gets all of the, the scandal, the intrigue of leaving. That was Jessie Nelson. Obviously didn't go very well for her. But I think that Jade's strategy of waiting until she felt creatively inspired to launch her career really set her apart from, her other bandmates, who I think are still, each of them, Perry and Leanne, are still finding their way. But Jade had such a clear vision to execute, and she wanted it done in such a specific way. And she went about it so meticulously that I have to give 10s where my 10s are due. And I think that a lot of people that were not Little Mix fans are now Jade fans. And that is a huge accomplishment, because being able to break out of the niche fandom that you developed when you were in the band is really difficult. For example, One Direction, who was the one person that really managed to break out and form his own fan base? Harry Styles. Could have been Zayn, but he kind of floundered and flopped a little bit for a couple of years. So I think that momentum is dead. But it usually is one person per band that really gets to become a huge mainstream star, not attached to the band. And I think that Jade is well on her way to doing that. I think her next challenge is probably going to be cracking America a little bit more, which is something that Little Mix really struggled to do. But I have full faith that that Showbiz Baby tour is going to take her somewhere beautiful. Oh, I just realized Miley Cyrus, Something Beautiful, not mentioned here. I would have put that in That Happened. People weren't really talking about it or moving for it. So neither was Miley. I mean, she didn't really put much effort into it either. So we're going to put it there. Addison, we needed this. We did. We really needed this. I needed my return of smart, vacuous pop. What Addison is doing is so specific and clever and referential. I really truly think that if you don't get what she's trying to do, or if you immediately perceive it only as superficial and like nothing interesting, then you are kind of dumb. There's like layers of performance and artifice to it, and it's deeply rooted in pop culture history and pop girl history. This is why Jade and Addison love each other. Jade has mentioned Addison a few times, I'm pretty sure. All of the cool girls, by the way, have been mentioning Addison this year. She is a topic of conversation. Nominated for Best New Artist, it has been an incredible transformation and journey to watch her go from TikTok star hydrated to the diva extraordinaire. And I'm very curious to see what Addison does next. I think that her tour, like Tate McRae's tour, really helped break her in a new way. A lot of those venues got upgraded. I feel really lucky to have seen her in such a tiny venue. I don't think she's going to be playing those for a long time. The sky is the limit for Addison, and I have to clap and cheer. Swag by Justin Bieber. I'm putting this in That Happened. You'll notice that I had a very positive response to it when I first heard it, but I was so surprised and gagged because my expectations for Justin Bieber have fallen so low. He hasn't made something interesting in a really, really long time, or something that felt even a little bit authentic. And what I liked about Swag is that it did feel like it was getting at something uniquely Justin Bieber, and there were songs on it that were really fun. I have personally pulled All I Can Take and Butterflies into my library. Daisies, I'm kind of like, whatever, but I understand why it's a hit and why it's the song from the album that is being like charting and people are loving and recognizing. But I do think overall Swag is bloated. It's a very overstuffed project, and Swag 2 really took the wind out of its sails for me. Swag 2 is wife guy material, and nobody really needed to hear that, especially not me. I wasn't interested. So Swag, I think, it's being glazed a lot. Nominated for Album of the Year, nominated for many, many things at the Grammys. I think we are just maybe giving him a little bit too much credit for being a man that's making not American Idol music. That's why I think Justin Bieber got a lot of flowers this year. But, the bar's low for men. We know this. Beyonce winning Album of the Year. We needed this. This was a historic moment in pop culture. It was a righting of a wrong. This was a correction that really needed to happen. Isn't it crazy that the Grammys happened this year, not last year? They happened in February of 2025. I think that this year was going to be a bloodbath from a Stan perspective. It was only ever going to be the Insufferable Discourse Awards if anyone other than Beyonce had won. People still tried to do Insufferable Discourse, but I think overall, even if you didn't love Cowboy Carter that much or think it was Beyonce's best, like me, you saw Beyonce winning Album of the Year and you were like, that makes sense. It's about damn time. Cue the video of Taylor and Jay-Z cheersing and Taylor going, it's about time. And it's true. It really was about time. And also, I can definitely make an argument and see an argument for Cowboy Carter winning Album of the Year just because of the technical excellence on it, the bravery, the genre hopping and genre disrupting that it did. I mean, Beyonce, you did that. Not only was it deserved, I think it opened up a lot of really interesting and revealing conversations about genre diversity, and also how the Grammys are going to handle the lines of genre really getting blurred over time as music becomes more porous and more cross-experimentation is tried. We're seeing this with Bad Bunny. Like, there are a lot of interesting shifts in how the Grammys are defining music, and then in turn, how we define music. So I think this was a very important and interesting moment for the culture to have Beyonce win. And it diffused a lot of the annoying Stan wars that were going to happen if she didn't. Why did I put As Ever by Meghan Markle here? I think this was just something funny that I noticed. I'm putting this in I Didn't Like This. And you know why I'm putting it there? Because I have to give a shout out to the people I hate the most on the internet. The people I hate the most on the internet are content creators and people who are really focused on snarking on people like Meghan Markle, Amber Heard, and now Blake Lively. She's another person that's been added into the mix with this. The amount of conversation that Meghan Markle introducing preserves, not jams, that just a Netflix show of her being like, I'm cooking in my kitchen and selling my jam, you can buy it or not. The amount of discourse that generated is concerning to me. It's mental illness. It really is mental illness. And I think that if you are overly invested in I hate Meghan Markle discourse, there's actually something wrong with your brain. It's the same with Blake Lively. I don't know even how to categorize what that kind of performance online is. It's definitely racism in the case of Meghan Markle. It's also the case of misogyny. I would love to dig more into that, like this concept of these specific people, how they get chosen and how they get treated in the public eye and how it's just become acceptable. I feel like it's like a known fact of life that Meghan Markle has this big community of snarkers. And it's almost as though they are there to gobble up Meghan Markle content before even normal people or people who like her are. That is very scary to me. I would love to make a video talking about that phenomenon, but I don't know what to call it. I'm still cooking on it. And also, even mentioning it at all, I know this is going to incite. I deliberately didn't put the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, Blake being vindicated into this video to talk about specifically as its own thing, because I don't want to court the crazies. I'm not interested. I said I made my 2 videos and I tapped out because everybody was being deranged. People are so crazy about that literally at the Snare store in Nashville, we had, I'm sorry, a demented audience member whose brain had clearly been infected by this kind of discourse scream at us from the front row without the microphone, like just rant about it because they were so taken by the discourse and so moved by it that they had to break social norms and disrupt a show and ruin it for everyone by screaming and shouting at me, who made a video about it like 6 months prior and decided never to talk about it again. That is the kind of response that these people provoke. And I think that's interesting, but I actually hate it. I'm going to put this into Internal Sunshine, this out of my brain, because I'm sick of seeing the I hate Meghan Markle, the I hate Blake Lively. At this point, it's like, even if you're trying to rationally or logically justify why you hate them so much, it doesn't make sense that you overly fixate on talking about it constantly. I don't care. There's no reason, there's no justification that can make me want to engage with you on that. So it's Candace Owens behavior. It's Candace Owens behavior. And if you think, I remember when the Blake Lively stuff happened, perfectly normal people, liberals, were saying, oh, Candace Owens is really making sense though. She's really speaking truth. The moment that you look dead to the camera and say Candace Owens is making sense, you've lost it. You're over. I'm done with you. You're canceled. Good thing I like my friends canceled. But I don't like you and you're not my friend. You're just canceled. Materialists. This movie caused so much discourse. And I went into it being like, ooh, Celine Song, this is going to be like a really challenging, thought-provoking movie. And I found this to be one of the most like rudimentary, boring assessments. Like it was so not what it was advertised to be. It is not a stereotypical like love story or like a rom-com. It's not funny. There are funny moments in it, but overall, it's not a funny story. The moral of the story is like something we already know. Being with the broke guy will make you happy because he's nice to you, and being with the rich guy for convenience won't make you happy because that's not what love is. We know that. These are simple stories that we didn't need to be told through Celine Song's like poxy, pretentious lens. So I really didn't like this, and I thought that it was stupid. So Eternal Sunshine that out of my brain. I couldn't believe people were coming up with so many different things to say about it because the source material is so lacking and devoid of insight or subtext even. It's like a very straightforward, boring, obvious story. And it reinforced to me that Dakota Johnson can't act. And I kind of love that for her. It's go girl, give us nothing, but it PMO. Along with the discourse, it just PMO. Charlie marries George. I'm putting this in that happened. You know what? It happened too much. There were like 85 million posts about the marriage. There were like 3 different weddings. It was a lot. It was a lot for me to see the guest list of the wedding as well. I think that attending Charli XCX's wedding would be my worst nightmare. Her friends, the people that she surrounds herself with, are like my sleep paralysis demons. I went to Sarah Lawrence College for my tertiary education, and Charli is a Sarah Lawrence person and all of her friends are Sarah Lawrence people. I don't know how else to describe that, but like I was so put off by that specific kind of person and culture at school that I left campus and moved into New York City to stay away from them. So when I see Gabriette, internet starlet, eating spaghetti with her hands in front of poor Lord, and then she's at Charli's wedding and Maddie Healy's DJing, I'm like, it smells bad there. These people aren't wearing deodorant. So that's kind of how I feel about that. Did Charli look gorgeous in her little white wedding dress? I thought the courthouse pictures were so cute. Everything else I could have really not been interested in. Alex Warren, Eternal Sunshine this out of my brain. I cannot believe that we are still doing American Idol contestant support. He is Benson Boone in a worse font. At least Benson Boone is like hot and flips around and wears little jumpsuits. What is Alex Warren doing other than creating the most annoying song known to man and not getting nominated for a Grammy for it? I think the tides are turning. Something I've been cooking on just as a general thought that I would like to unpack with more clarity on like numbers, etc., is I think that the way that the Billboard charts are tabulated and calculated now are severely out of touch with like what people are actually listening to. It completely overweights radio. And I think that most young people don't listen to the radio. And young people are the drivers of culture. They are the ones that are listening to music. So the Billboard Hot 100 is really a reflection of like what the radio programmers want us to hear, what they have found to be successful. And that is not the same as what's organically successful and what is organically gaining traction. I feel like the viral songs chart is probably a better metric. And I don't think that socials are properly weighted in the way that they analyze and tabulate the Billboard Hot 100 chart positions, which is why something like Sports Car, which I feel like was everywhere and felt like a number one hit to me, barely even cracks the top 20. But Alex Warren's Ordinary is at number one. And meanwhile, I can't find a single person that says they love that song or they really care about that song or they think it's a good song. I think people know it. It's like an American Idol winner's song. It gets shoved down your throat. And culture and music just doesn't work like that anymore. So they're never actually going to amend that because there's so much payola involved in the Billboard Hot 100 and the radio stations. That whole ecosystem is really overdue. The music industry is stuck in like 2000. That's why I think Alex Warren is a flop. K-pop Demon Hunters. That happened. I'm not going to say I didn't like it because I haven't engaged with it and I kind of refuse to at this point. Maybe I will react to it on the Patreon at some point because they have been some of the most popular songs. But again, this is another Alex Warren situation where I'm like, are these songs actually popular? I don't hear those songs out and about or on the radio. I don't even know what they sound like. They are complete mysteries to me. It doesn't come up on my TikTok FYP. I do not hear people talking about it. I only really ever see discourse about K-pop Demon Hunters and the music when I am looking at like trade publications. So like Billboard or I don't know, Variety talking about Grammy nominations and how strange it was that this was nominated. Like that is when I encounter this. Again, I'm not seeing people talk about like what influence this has on culture. So I'm not sure what that is. And because of that, I can't put it in Eternal Sunshine or I didn't like this. Devil Wears Prada 2, I didn't like this. I'm not going to say Eternal Sunshine because I want to tune into the flop. But basically, I think that another disturbing trend of the year and in general life is the constant unceasing revival of IP that needs to just stay put. We don't need Devil Wears Prada 2. It can't possibly be good. There are so many unique factors that made The Devil Wears Prada an iconic movie to begin with. And I feel like overstuffing it and forcing another revisit of it instead of, I don't know, investing money into like a new original idea, maybe finding an up and coming director, maybe, I don't know, investing money into developing talent instead of paying for AI to destroy it. I don't think that there is any possible world in which Devil Wears Prada 2 can even touch the greatness of the original. And this is already seen by the absolute hideousness of the photos. The photos that I've seen of the wardrobe so far, I'm not a fashionista, but even I am looking at this and going, this is fugly. This is like some millennials' idea of what a fashion magazine that is really important and culturally relevant in the world would look like now. And the gag about, you know, Vogue, which this is based on, like the fashion industry, the executives, the people that work in the like publishing side of fashion anymore are not the tastemakers. They are not the tastemakers. They are not the people driving culture. They are not the people doing interesting things. So this movie is already beginning on the back foot, and I think it's going to be painfully dated. I think it's going to be very irrelevant feeling, and it can't even serve us good looks. And if you can't serve us good looks, what's the point? Goodbye, Anna Wintour. Everybody moved. I'm so glad that Anna Wintour is gone. And you know what? We just need a different voice in American Vogue. I do kind of vaguely cover the different Vogues. Italian Vogue is really good. Singapore Vogue has done some really interesting stuff this year. The Vogues around the world are doing way, way more interesting things than American Vogue. American Vogue has been in a disgusting rut for the last however many years. Anna Wintour is up Jeff Bezos's. Ever since she let the Kardashians into the elite world of fashion, it has crumbled and become a very unserious part of the general culture at large. I think even the Met Gala is like not interesting anymore. And it's because Anna Wintour refused to like really pass on the reins and step down. Like I think she probably peaked at her influence in the late 2010s. Maybe when the Met Gala really started becoming viral, you could maybe, I guess, point to Anna Wintour as being a culture mover and shaper. But at this point, it's like, let's let someone else have a go. It's like with politicians, like die or get out of office and let someone new come in and breathe some life into this failing institution. It's not like Vogue and Condé Nast is doing well under her leadership. Like they are contracting. They're getting smaller because they're not profitable. And Vogue websites suck so much. Can I just say there's a reason why nobody's reading Vogue? It's because your website is terrible. That's like step one of digital media in 2025. So embarrassing, humiliating, glad that she's gone. Oasis reunion, everybody moved. Everybody moved. I think the Oasis reunion was good because it was like a limited run. They did some really cool stuff with the tickets. They tried to get tickets into the hands of fans and not people that were trying to resell. And I think that like a band like Oasis is probably only ever going to reunite this one time. Like those two brothers, Noel and Liam Gallagher, if you're not aware of the lore, hate each other. They have like punched each other in the face. They cannot stand to even be in the same room. So I think the drama of them getting back together is a really good public spectacle in and of itself. And it seems as though it went really well. And also, I think it's nice for older people to have their Eras Tour moment. This was Eras Tour for straight men. It really was. For straight men who were over the age of 30-ish, but even younger than that, they were at the Eras Tour when they saw Oasis reunion. They were wearing the Oasis outfits. They were doing the parkas and the sunglasses. They made fun of the Eras Tour, and then they turned around and chomped at the bit for their chance to do their own friendship bracelet trading. And you know what? We need to stop gendering the Eras Tour. We need to queer the space of the Eras Tour and straighten it up too. Let the straights have Eras Tour as well in their own way. The White Lotus. I'm going to say everybody moved. I feel like it's really hard to coalesce people around TV. It's hard already to coalesce people around movies, but TV is even more difficult. And I think that The White Lotus generally is getting better and better with every season, or at least it's getting more audacious. I like Mike White. I think that he's weird. I think that he's everything that Ryan Murphy wants to be. Ryan Murphy on his best day could not touch a Mike White moment. He has his issues. Don't get me wrong. I have my issues with how he writes his characters, but I think in general, there were some really interesting human relationship dynamics at play on The White Lotus. Particularly to me, most interesting this year was the three women who were like in their adult friendship. They had been friends for a really long time. One of them was famous. The other one was newly married to a conservative. The other one was like a career woman who had kind of, I think, finally decided to pack it in a little bit professionally. And it was about like the different politics of female friendship at that age and the experiences that they've shared and how that carries over into their present and how each of them are like different from how they were and they all kind of low-key hate each other a little bit. But at the end of the day, what's more important than getting annoyed by little minutia things about each other is that they have this deep bond. Some may call it a sunk cost fallacy. It depends on how you look at it. But I think there is something to be said about historical friends, people that have been with you for many different seasons of your life that perhaps you wouldn't be best friends with if you met them today. But again, that's just one human dynamic that I thought was really interesting that I haven't seen explored in mainstream media in a really interesting way since maybe Girls. But this was an older demographic even than that. It's kind of Sex and the City adjacent, but Sex and the City was a little fantastical. It wasn't really based in reality. This felt like a real friendship and like real things that could happen theoretically in the world. So I liked The White Lotus. All of that to say that I thought it was good. It was interesting. I was seated. I think it's really nice to have something that everybody can talk about. It's a water cooler moment. We don't get a lot of those. There was Severance as well, but I'm not really interested in Severance. I tried to get into the first season. It just wasn't for me. That's why it's not here. I'm not saying that it wasn't a moment. I just have nothing to say about it. Selena Gomez's wedding. I'm going to put it in. That happened. Did everybody move? I don't know. People were kind of clowning on Benny Blanco and Selena Gomez this year. Rightly so, in my opinion. It was a kind of embarrassing turn of events that we had to witness with them. I didn't put I Said I Love You First here. Do you see how I'm telling truths by omission here? I Said I Love You First would have gone into I Didn't Like This. Maybe even Eternal Sunshine this out of my brain because I want to remember Selena Gomez as a good artist. It's hard to do that when I have that flop collaboration album at the top of my mind. But the wedding, I was kind of like, let's wrap this one up. Come on, get married already so we have to stop hearing about it. They've been shoving their love down our throats all year long. So it was nice. I thought Selena looked stunning. Her various dresses were gorgeous. Taylina, I'm always crying and cheering for Taylina together. So I was happy to see them all having fun, having a blast at Selena Gomez's wedding. I wish we got a little bit more content of Taylor from it, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. Speaking of Ryan Murphy, I have All's Fair, which is one of the worst shows ever created. I'm going to say we needed this. I'm going to say Ryan Murphy lashings need to happen more often. The Menendez brothers thing, he got lauded for that just because the two people that he started in were really great and hot. Ryan Murphy can't write a show. Ryan Murphy can't finish a thought. He can start an idea, but he literally is incapable of carrying a creative execution out. Every single show that he has ever made has devolved into nonsense. No matter how long it is. Maybe it doesn't happen in the first season, but by the fourth or the fifth, it's done. Scream Queens was completely absurd by season 2. By the end of season 1, it was ridiculous. There are moments of it that are iconic. He's good at writing like funny dialogue, but All's Fair, apparently I haven't watched it, and I won't be watching it because I don't need to see Kim Kardashian acting to know that she's the worst actress of all time. But I think that him having a big scale flop is good for his ego. Stop shoving Ryan Murphy content down our throat. I know that Ariana just wrapped American Horror Story, which is unfortunate because is that really where you want to take your acting career after Wicked? To American Horror Story? I get that she loves like horror and campiness and she did Scream Queens. She is reuniting with Emma Roberts, and I love Emma Roberts. That's apparently an unpopular opinion, but I love Emma Roberts, always have. So maybe it'll be good. But All's Fair flopping, I love to see a commercial pan. Something that everybody agrees on is bad is a beautiful uniting factor in this world. Katy Perry 143 is a great example of that. We all said this sucks, and it felt good. It felt good. Kim Kardashian failing the bar. We needed this. We needed this. Kim Kardashian, she spelled business wrong, among other things. She spelled many things wrong. Kim Kardashian is not a smart lady in the traditional sense. She's not a book smart person. I also don't think she really cares about becoming a lawyer. This is all just one LARP in pursuit of rehabilitating her public image and making it seem as though she is some sort of essential fixture to the culture. Kim Kardashian is irrelevant. If we've learned anything from this year, Kim Kardashian is irrelevant other than as someone to loll at and throw tomatoes at. That truly, I think, is her purpose now. She is no longer this it girl and she is flailing. And she has been trying to pass the bar for 6 years or something like that at this point. And it's like, if you really cared about being a lawyer, this is just another vanity project. She just wants people to think that she's smart. So she's failing many, many times. If you really cared about being a lawyer, wouldn't you just stop everything and go and do law school? That's the best way to pass the bar. It's like nearly impossible to pass the bar without actually going to law school. And I don't think she cares that much. I think this is just going to be her never ending struggle. She's not smart. That is being proven time and time again. So Kim Kardashian, you're nothing. We hate you. You're over. Thank you. Labubu's. Eternal Sunshine this out of my brain. They're ugly. They're not cute. They look ridiculous on Birkins. I don't think that it serves. I don't think that there's any sort of like high-low wander to it. This is just microplastic extravaganza. And I've seen so many good people fall victim to a Labubu. You know, so many smart people, so many accomplished people, so many people who really should be putting their money elsewhere, investing in Labubu. I think the name is ridiculous. I think they're ugly. I think they're scary. I don't get it. Cat's Eye Gap commercial, everybody moved. Those girls are so talented. It's unfortunate to me that something like the Gap commercial is what moves the culture more than their actual songs. Whoever is in the creative development team at Cat's Eye, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. Their musical output has been so unbelievably mid and so not reflective of their actual talent and capability. I will give them Gnarly. Gnarly was different and weird and polarizing. Here it is. I'm going to put it in Everybody Moved also because I don't think that we really needed Gnarly. It's not my favorite song in the world. Is it coming into kind of like an ironic camp classic a la Camila Cabello's I Love It? Maybe, but I do think that I Love It is actually kind of a better song than Gnarly, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, I have issues with the creative direction of the group Cat's Eye. They are so talented, and I think that their career is going to be mishandled and bungled by the fact that they are unable to come up with some interesting, good music for them, which they are more than capable of delivering, by the way. Laura is an incredible artist. Let her have a go at arranging some vocals. Let her write a song. What's going on with these idiots at Hybe? Stop holding these girls back. Kesha, period. I didn't like this. I'm sorry, that really wasn't even a pop culture moment. And that's really disappointing because I've been rooting for Kesha. I'm always rooting for Kesha. I'm still rooting for Kesha. I want Kesha to win. I want Kesha to live. I want Kesha to be the biggest artist in the world. However, this music felt like an attempt to recapture former glory. And Kesha has done this a few times, like tried to do variations of what she did before. And I think that is to the detriment of finding a new sound. Something that I like about Hilary Duff's comeback, for example, is that she's not really trying to like reheat her own nachos. Kesha is, and it's not working, or it feels inauthentic. That album is so unbelievably forgettable, and Kesha to me is not a forgettable artist. She's made such an indelible mark on pop culture and pop music in general that it is hard to see her floundering like this. And I understand that like she's faced challenges. I don't know if this was independently released or independently funded. I know that Joyride, she did all of that herself. Joyride was great, by the way. The rest of it is totally forgettable. And if we're all being honest with ourselves, you know that's the truth. So I'm upset by Kesha. I think she could have done a lot more with this. Drake lawsuit dismissed. Everybody moved. Everybody moved. I mean, that lawsuit was ridiculous. If you don't know, well, we need to explain a little bit. Here's Kendrick's halftime performance. I'm going to put that in. We needed this too. Have you ever seen anyone avenging their enemy in a more publicly humiliating way? It is actually pretty astonishing the levels and the lengths to which Kendrick went to dunk on Drake. And the ways in which that Drake was completely unable to get a lick back. It was like every time he punched, he missed further, and Kendrick stomped down harder. And that has been a really embarrassing and humiliating thing for Drake. The Kendrick halftime performance was literally like Kendrick showing that he had amassed the public favor and the industry favor on his side. Hi, Drake, literally calling him out on national television, one of the most watched moments of the year. Tough year to be Drake. And Drake, his response to the diss track trying to do defamation, I mean, when it's a creative expression like a rap song, a song in general, that is not going to fall under the very strict rules of defamation in the US. So that was a lawsuit that was doomed to fail. And I think he was also suing his own record label. Like he wasn't suing Kendrick, he was suing the label for publishing the song, which is a little bit ridiculous. And I think that Drake, needed a reality check. He was on top for too long, and we have all enjoyed watching that reality check. The Roe sample sale. Now, I don't know if this is a pop culture moment, but I was watching it on TikTok. I think everybody moved. The Roe, if you're unfamiliar, is Mary-Kate and Ashley's basically quiet luxury basics brand. It's Uniqlo for rich people. And I have fallen victim to the Roe. I have bought a couple things from the Roe. I will say I have a gorgeous pair of shoes from the Roe. They are simple and they are amazing, but they are selling t-shirts for like $2,000. Okay. It's ridiculous. So the Roe sample sale is the whole point of the Roe is that it's hard to get. It's difficult to access. They don't have social media. They don't work with influencers. Like it's for the creme de la creme of people in the world, not just rich people, but also people with taste. Being rich won't buy you entry into this, which is what makes people go so crazy for it. It's the like scarcity thing and the cultural cachet stuff. It's a very interesting study in how people express themselves through clothing. But either way, the Roe sample sale, they basically did the most uncool thing possible. The Roe is supposed to be about exclusivity, hard to get, not mass produced. It's supposed to be focused on like the beautiful construction of every garment to justify that $2,000 t-shirt. But this just proved that it is made in the same factories where everything else is made. Maybe the materials might be better, but the craftsmanship of some things is great, like their coats, their shoes, their leather products, generally I'd say are pretty good. Are they worth the inflated price? No. But things like t-shirts, I'm really belaboring the point here. The Roe sample sale had a bunch of delusional girls on TikTok arriving home being like, I just spent $4,000 on 3 things and I feel so blessed and lucky to have been given this opportunity. And meanwhile, they're showing you like the most not even basic, but also sometimes hideous and ill-fitting clothing. It's like a disease that has taken over people's minds. And I found it to be a very fascinating window into specifically like New York cool and how you get access to spaces like the Row. It was good to have the bubble burst, even for me a little bit, because I fell into the victim of the Row for a while. I was like, maybe I do need like a $3,000 pair of pants. No, you don't. You can go on eBay and you can buy 90s Armani pants for $100 and get them tailored. That's what I did. And it gives the exact same effect as the Row with better construction and better materials. So I don't know. The Louvre heist, that happened. Everybody moved. Everybody did move. I mean, I didn't really care about that. That was a pop culture moment that I wasn't tuned into, but it was funny. I saw a very funny Jake Shane meme of him pretending to be the Mona Lisa when the Louvre break-in was happening. This is where Jake Shane excels. This is why we need Jake Shane in the culture. He can be the Mona Lisa while the Louvre is getting robbed. Hilary Duff's comeback. Okay, so I obviously want to put Hilary's comeback in We Needed This because I think that we did need this, but I understand that to many people, Hilary Duff is just simply not on their radar. However, what I will say is she got 470K streams on her first day of Mature, her comeback single being launched. That's more than what Katy Perry got for Band-Aids. Isn't that embarrassing? Isn't that really embarrassing? Hilary Duff is back from the dead, clearing Katy Perry's like comeback single after her most disastrous year ever. Katy Perry's over. We'll talk about that shortly, but Hilary's comeback I think has been really fun. And it's nostalgic, but it's not the Devil Wears Prada 2 reheating IP from years ago. She's not trying to do Lizzie McGuire reunion, although she did try to do that and it didn't get made because of Disney politics. I think this is great. I'm happy to see it. Taylor looks like the Swiftologist. We needed this. We needed this. Everybody was trying to drag Taylor by saying that she looked like me in the Life of a Showgirl album cover. So in the process of trying to drag Taylor, you complimented me. So I love that. Thank you for comparing me to my favorite person in the world. I love to see it. Sydney Sweeney's good genes. I didn't like this. And it's not for the reasons you think. The eugenics stretch of this all, the way that Sydney Sweeney is becoming a Meghan Markle, becoming a Blake Lively, the endless relitigating of the discourse about that ad is crazy to me. And the fact that people cannot put 2 and 2 together, that like Sydney Sweeney didn't write that ad. Sydney Sweeney doesn't even probably think or say those things. That is an ad agency and the brand. Like if you're mad at someone, you should be mad at American Eagle. Sydney Sweeney is the paid spokesperson. Yes, of course, when you're aligning yourself with a brand, you are giving a tacit consent to share the opinion that's being expressed with you in the advertisement. But I think that the insane levels of deconstruction about what Sydney Sweeney's political beliefs are, it just felt so psyop to me. I was like, why are we talking about this? Like, there are more important things going on. And the levels of seriousness with which intelligent people treated this discourse is disappointing and upsetting to me. I mean, it was weird. It was a bad ad, first and foremost. She looked bad in the jeans. So it defeats the purpose of the entire thing. But the eugenics thing was a true stretch to me. Sydney Sweeney and Scooter Braun. Eternal sunshine this out of my brain. This is where Sydney Sweeney starts to get her lashings from me. In what world are you experiencing a PR crisis and you think, let me fix this by dating Scooter Braun? What reason could you have to date Scooter Braun? He's not hot. He's ugly. He's hideous. He's a troll. He's not well liked. Everybody in the industry hates him. He's essentially been forced out of his position. He has no influence. He's not a tastemaker. The only thing he has influence over now is TMZ, which he uses to get good publicity for himself. Scooter Braun is like brand dynamite. You associating with him is toxic. And I think that this is pretty common knowledge. And it's not just because Taylor ended him so successfully over and over again. Ariana Grande has been shading Scooter Braun this year. Justin Bieber has been doing the same thing. He is not a nice man. He has treated people badly. He has exploited people for his own gain, in my opinion. And I think that any person with self-respect and an understanding of their position in the culture and a wish for their position in the culture to not degrade further after a crisis or a scandal should not date Scooter Braun. The only reason Sydney Sweeney could possibly dating Scooter Braun is because she wants his money. I can't think of another reason. You don't love Scooter Braun. You don't love him. There's nothing to love. I'm very, very confident about that. Rosalia Lux. Everybody moved. People are really talking about this. I just reacted to it on the Patreon, so I won't talk a lot about it here. If you want to hear my thoughts, you can go to Patreon. But Rosalia, I was not familiar with her game. I was not familiar with the artistry, and I'm glad that I have been made acquainted with it because, wow, what a beautiful project. I would say that that's probably the most artistically adventurous and audacious project of the year. Like, that was not a project that was made to be commercially successful. It wasn't made to stream or chart. It was made to express something. And what it expresses is deeply interesting. And I'm still mulling it over and thinking about what it could mean. And I'm reading other people's interpretations about it. But what an accomplishment. Speaking of accomplishments, surprise Hayley Williams. We needed this. Oh, we needed this so bad. I am Paramore positive. I don't love their recent output. Like, I didn't love the last record. I wasn't really jumping up and down cheering for it, but I am always jumping up and down and cheering for Hayley Williams. But I wasn't cheering for her first two solo records. I found them to be a little boring, a little stuffy and stiff and over executed. This, I mean, the way it was released alone shows you that this was just an organic thing that happened. She didn't even have a title for it. It was a bunch of songs randomly released. The levels of artistry, the layers of excellence that went into making this album, the total candor with which she wrote this entire record, it is so distinctly Hayley Williams and yet different from anything she's done before, and also sufficiently different from what she's done with Paramore. It's glum rock in the most interesting way. Best alternative record of the year by a country mile. And I just think that it was such a profound success. And I've really loved seeing Hayley's surprise at how people have responded so well to this. And I hope that she tours it because I would simply love to see these songs performed live. Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry, that happened. Those are two diva down. Justin Trudeau, widely hated by his people, Katy Perry, widely hated by her people, coming together to maximize their joint flop. The most confounding picture I saw this year was a picture of Justin Trudeau wearing skinny jeans on a yacht making out with Katy Perry, but shirtless. I was like, why are you wearing skinny jeans on a yacht? Why are you shirtless? Why did you take the shirt off but keep the skinny jeans on? The skinny jeans would be the first thing that I would take off. Just stand there in your underwear. Like, what? Isn't it hot? Aren't you feeling restricted? Like, what was going on there? What was happening? What occurs between these two? What conversations do they have? What do they have in common? I can only imagine they're having two separate conversations at once and they're both just talking about themselves. That's kind of what it gives to me. But I am interested in seeing it develop. I think that it's funny. Audrey Hobart, everybody moved. I can't put it in We Needed This because I don't think that everyone in the whole world moved for Audrey Hobart. Hilary Duff moved. She just revealed that in her interview with Vogue World. Audrey Hobart, again, when I talk about Jade and Addison, I don't think she quite reached that peak. And that's because Jade and Addison were riding off of public notoriety already. Jade was in Little Mix. Addison has been a known entity in the public domain for like years at this point. Audrey Hobart was a complete unknown that came out with a very well-received album and has now developed a very, I would say, robust, strong fan base. And I think that that is a huge accomplishment to make in basically 6 months. Audrey Hubert's been in our lives for 6 months and she's already a cult classic. And I think that that is really down to the flawlessness with which her marketing campaign was executed. I have to give it up for the label. The label did that thing that they're doing now. This is a new marketing tactic where they create a bunch of like fake fan pages and essentially farm content through them that goes viral. And it doesn't go viral unless people are actually interested in it, which is where I don't think Audrey is a plant in the sense that our interest in her has been manufactured, but her ability to pierce our bubble of interest was definitely manufactured. She had a lot of help. And I think that it was probably the most intelligent breaking of a new artist that I've seen in a very long time. And I think that, you know, if you want to break as an artist in 2026, you should really be following the Audrey Hobart playbook. Extremely interesting. And also the music is great. The music is really good. It started out great for her with the success of That's So True. And I think that she has really eclipsed just being a Gracie friend or a Gracie songwriter. And that is a huge accomplishment. Lana Del Rey's stadium tour and her hologram. I'm putting this in that happened because I thought it was hilarious and everybody moved, but it also deeply upsets me that one of my favorite artists in the world cannot be bothered to put together an interesting show for her first ever stadium tour and cannot be bothered to pull into her extensive, beautiful, layered, incredibly well-constructed catalog to put on a show that is worth paying hundreds of pounds to go and see. Using a hologram to sing Norman effing Rockwell, and that being the basically only representative from your most acclaimed and most fan-beloved album on your stadium tour, while you take moments on your set list to sing flop country songs that nobody cares about and songs that you have not released to the public yet. That is a choice that only Lana Del Rey could make. And it's funny abstractly, but if I think too much about it, it upsets me because I want better for Lana because I really care about her and I'm invested in her career and her legacy. So mixed feelings about the Lana Stadium hologram thing. Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj round 100. Eternal Sunshine this out of my brain. They both went so low. Again, I don't like to talk about Nicki on my channel too much because I'm afraid of the barbs, but like the two people involved in this scenario were going to places of low that weren't even funny. When Rihanna and Ciara were going back and forth on Twitter, good luck with booking that stage you speak of, that was hilarious and funny. It was like light shade. It was messy boots. It wasn't like serious. What Cardi and Nicki were saying to each other was like, look it up for yourself, see what was said, and tell me if that's funny. Tell me if that was a fun thing to witness. Cardi B in court, we needed this. You know what? I think there's been a lot of dreaded news headlines about courts and decisions being made, and to see Cardi B in a show trial, essentially, an ex-bodyguard or assistant or someone basically trying to get a $20 million payday from her, to see Cardi B show up with such unbotheredness. She was dragged onto that witness stand, and to see her exonerated was great, but also just her responses were so iconic. Cardi B is an essential figure in pop culture because she is so funny without even trying to be. She is a meme. She is the viral moment. And I think that like watching her in her element, just seeing her come up with her Cardi-isms in real time, like it shows you like that's not overproduced. Her shtick, her persona is not something that she has been coached into doing. It has been there from the beginning and it has gone all the way through to now. And I think that her sense of humor is one of the best things about her as an artist and as a public figure. And I just have to give her her 10s where 10s are due. Taylor on New Heights. Everybody moved, but at what cost? Upon reflection, announcing your brand new album on your boyfriend's sports podcast should have been a sign that we weren't going to be getting the Taj Mahal in album form. It really should have been. And the amount of time wasted on that podcast talking about things I didn't need to know or care about. It was interesting to see her in a podcast setting. I hope we don't see her in a podcast setting again. I would love to see a real interview with her conducted by a real interviewer, not Jason Diane Sawyer. But I mean, it was something that everybody moved. I loved to hear her getting emotional about her master recordings. The benefit of her going on that podcast is that she was in a very comfortable environment, so I feel like she could share a lot, and she felt unguarded in a way. She's never unguarded. Strategic vulnerability, duh. But overall, I think it wasn't a great sign of what was to come, so that's unfortunate. The Charlie Taylor beef. Oh, we needed this. We needed that. Charlie was having solo control of that narrative for too long. Taylor had to come in and get her lick back. Again, do I think that Actually Romantic is the best song ever made? Do I think that it's the most well-executed clapback? No, but it was hysterical to me. It really was Hydrogen Bomb, Coughing Baby. Like it was an unbelievable nuke launched on the nation of Charlie XCX. And that bridge of Actually Romantic is one of the funniest things that has happened this year in isolation alone. Stop talking dirty to me. When Taylor's being mean, she's so funny. When she's being just outright mean, when she's not dressing it up as a moral quest to right a human wrong, when she's literally just being like, I don't like that you're talking shit about me, so I'm going to say something even worse about you. Petty. And I love to see it. West End Girl. Oh, we needed this. If you haven't watched my video, How to Revive Your Career, the Lily Allen story, go and watch it. I did a comprehensive deep dive into Lily Allen, who she is, why we care about her, what she's overcome to get to West End Girl, why this is the moment. If you're interested, go and look at that. West End Girl is one of my personal favorite pop culture moments. It was just so unexpected, and it was completely driven by the art. The reason why it became such a moment was because people were gagged and shook by not just what was being shared and the shockingness of the revelations, but also by the execution. I think that nobody would have cared if she had like written a blog post about this. Pussy Palace is an incredibly well-constructed song that only Lily Allen could make. And West End Girl gets all the tens from me about that. Lord's Rolling Stone interview. I didn't like this. I didn't like this because it made Lorde look pretentious, myopic, and stupid, which are things that I don't think that she is, but they are kind of like the shadow self of her that she leans into from time to time. That Pamela Anderson comment, I still can't find a way to defend that, and I don't think there should be a way to defend that because it is just so unbelievably in poor taste. She has not really made any amends towards like correcting that or further explaining it. I think because she realizes if she tried to further explain it, it would only make it sound worse because there is just no interesting creative justification for fixating on that specific thing that she was talking about. I have a whole video talking about that interview and what I think went wrong and how I think it got misinterpreted, but also what Lorde probably shouldn't have said. If you're interested, you can go and watch that. But this really took the wind out of Virgin's sails for me. This made me kind of like, especially after Man of the Year. I was like, what? However, Lorde in Washington Square Park, everybody moved. That was so cool. I remember seeing it happen. I just saw clips of it going viral on TikTok, and I was like, we're so back. And that was the first time I heard a snippet of What Was That, which is one of my favorite songs of the year. I love that song so very much. I think that we moved on from it too quickly. I really do. And I think that people are not appreciative enough of how moving that song is. But I guess it's for big brain geniuses. Luckily, I'm a big brain genius. The Las Culturistas award show. I'm putting that in Everybody Moved. You know what? Award shows have gotten really boring because they feel increasingly out of touch with what people want to see. Las Culturistas award show was like an award show for the people. This was an award show for people that care about pop culture, and it was fun. It was lighthearted. It was a little bit shady. It was a little bit snarky. It was just a moment where girls and gays, pop culture lovers, could come together and celebrate being trolls and like having memes and genuine artistic accomplishments alongside that too. And the showing of people that came up to this award show was very shocking to me. I was surprised by how many like real celebrities and real artists showed up and wanted to engage in this. I think that award shows generally seem like, from what I can gather from celebrities, high pressure, stressful situations. And big losses, big wins, they all entail different kinds of publicity and managing expectations and getting nervous about looking good on the carpet. And are you getting nominated in the way that you feel that you deserve? What does that reflect about the quality of the work that you did? Removing all of that and just making it the spectacle and the fun, I think was a really brilliant idea. And I hope that it continues. I hope it's an annual thing. Me clocking Justin Tranter on TikTok. We needed this. We needed this. I needed to do that. I wanted to do it. It filled me with joy, and I don't take any of it back. I still think that Justin Tranter is a great songwriter, and I still think that what he said about me, whether he wants to admit that it was about me, even if it wasn't about me, it was. Even if it wasn't, I still think there was a point that needed to be made there. And that whole thing was the catalyst for an article in The Atlantic, and that was a high honor to be featured in The Atlantic and spoken about with rigor and respect from another critic who I admire. So I thought that was a great outcome for something that actually did upset me at first, because I like Justin Tranter and I respect his work, and I've given a lot of attention to his work, and I will continue to do so. The Coldplay cheating scandal, everybody moved. There was a kind of alarming progression of surveillance culture, of people being overly invested in the lives of strangers. I don't necessarily think that it's good that we're blowing up private citizens' lives. But then again, when you're the CEO of a public company, I don't know if it's a publicly traded company, but when you're the CEO of a company, you kind of are a public figure in a way, and you should probably have the good sense not to take your side piece out in public where there are thousands of people around on the Jumbotron at the Coldplay concert. Yes, you could make the argument that they shouldn't have panned over to them, but like, how was the cameraman supposed to know that these two philanderers were philandering live? if you are really doing something that you don't want other people to see, you shouldn't do it in public, period. So that was a lesson learned the hard way for both of these people. The two Grammy moments that I pulled that I think were like actual really big pop culture moments was Chapel's Pink Pony Club performance. That just felt like such a victory lap. And also her speech. I think that that was a we needed this moment. I think everybody loves a come up story. Everybody loves an underdog story. And it was like the perfect cherry on top of Chapel's astronomical, unbelievable rise to success, primarily driven by the fact that people loved and connected with and resonated with her music and what she means as a public figure. So thank you, Chapel. We love you. The life of a showgirl. Now I could approach this from so many ways. I could put it in we needed this because we needed more Taylor Swift music. I'm not saying no to father figure Elizabeth Taylor ruin the friendship. I'm not saying no to that. I needed that. I really needed that. Everybody moved. Everybody did move, but everybody was moving in f***ed up and mysterious ways. I have never been so stressed out by an album rollout by Taylor Swift or an album rollout ever in my life than I was by The Life of a Showgirl. Everybody was being foul and cruel and unusual on every side of the aisle. It was horrendous. It was not fun at all. And it made having new Taylor music feel like a political referendum, which is like not what I want a Taylor Swift album to be, nor what I think she wants it to be, nor what it should be. So I'm gonna have to put Life of a Showgirl in that happened, unfortunately, because honestly, it was a stressful time. It really was. It was. As a content creator that makes content about Taylor Swift, people demanding answers from me, I was getting attacked from all sides. The Swifties were mad at me. The non-Swifties were mad at me. I didn't know what to think. It was a very trying time to be a Swiftologist at that moment. The Addison tour, we needed this. Oh, we needed it so bad. I personally, you guys know, was invited to attend, got to meet Addison and see the show. And that was like one of my highlights of the year. It was just such a fun time for me personally. And it felt like something that I worked for and I really just loved every minute of it. I love getting to see pop girls do what they love, promoting records that are really great, that I think are connected and resonate well with me. That is my ultimate goal. I kept having the thought, I was like, wow, if this happened to me when I was 11 and this was Avril or this was Britney Spears or this was Hilary Duff, like literally anyone, I would have been like, pinch me. That was my biggest dream come true, was to see a show with an artist that I love and then get to ask them about their work afterwards, after the show was over. So it was actually getting to look someone whose art I really respected in the eye and ask them questions about it and interact with the art as though it is like a living, breathing thing in front of me rather than just like a CD that I hold in my hands, you know? So I also think the Addison tour has really done wonders for Addison Rae's public image. There would be no Best New Artist nomination if she hadn't been doing incredible live performances all year long, I don't think. So Addison Rae, you know I'm a stan. Tit for tat, we needed this. We needed this so bad. We really needed tit for tat. Tit for tat is so much fun. The choreography, Sean Bankhead, his mind, Tate McRae's mind and body while embodying that choreography is crazy, okay? Tit for tat is amazing, and I love it as like a stopgap between So Close to What and whatever comes next. I really hope that Tate continues to work with Ryan Tedder and that they refine and tweak their sound, because I think she's finally starting to come up with something that's very Tate McRae. And the reason why I've noticed that it feels distinctly Tate McRae is because I'm noticing when other artists try to imitate her. Madison Beer's Yes Baby, she's trying to do Tate McRae. And I was like, okay, so there is a Tate McRae thing. Before I would have said like, when Greedy first came out, I was like, I don't know that this is anything particularly different. It's just a TikTok song to me. It's gone beyond TikTok song. Like Greedy, Sports Car, Revolving Door, Tit for Tat, there's an artist emerging, and I'm very excited to meet that artist. I also love The Mess. I always, as you know, and as I got in trouble for, have said The Kid Laroi is a flop. So I was happy to see Tate McRae ditching an ugly man and finally realizing that she is a diva extraordinaire that deserves better. Let's go song for song. Let's go tit for tat. Absolutely. The Snares Tour. The Snares Tour. We needed this. Come on. Pop culture moments. The Snares Tour, number one. Wow. What a journey. What an experience. The highlight of my professional career so far. Absolutely. Tour was everything that I wanted it to be and more. There is a vlog about it if you want to go see. I feel like Madeline and I have talked about this. We still haven't even processed everything that happened on tour and what it meant. Seeing actual people in front of us doing what we love, this podcast that has just been a labor of love for so long and was truly just a labor of love, not a profit-making exercise, not a business, not something that we were getting paid to do, to finally see and connect with people that have been following us for years and have been supporting this project and like making it what it is now, meant so much to me. It really meant everything to me. The meet and greets, getting to meet everyone, reading all of your letters, It was so special, and I didn't realize that what we do on the internet, what I do on the internet has an impact on people, like a real life impact that goes beyond just like, I love your videos. And that was the most meaningful thing that happened to me this year, of course. And yeah, I hope that you guys had just as much fun attending the Snares tour as we had doing it. The Snares tour is not over. It's still going, okay? Like the Eras tour, it's extending for another year. We just have 3 more shows to go. So once the Snares tour ends, then we're gonna have to come up with what our next tour and shows are gonna be. So that'll be really exciting and a great creative challenge, because I feel like also Snares tour for us was, we had to figure out how to take our podcast and adapt it to being a live show, because it's not the same. Doing a live show is not the same as sitting in our desks in our rooms and talking about pop culture. It's a different thing. There's like a performance element to it. So I think it was a really interesting, fun exercise for Madeline and I to prove to ourselves also that we're entertainers. We're here to do more than just make content. We're capable of more than that. And we definitely are. And I'm really proud of us. And so thankful to everyone that came out to make it what it was. Tate McRae at the VMAs. Oh, girls, we needed this. Again, I've sung her praises. Can we stop the Swiftologist hates Tate McRae misinformation pipeline? Can we finally put that to bed? How many nice things have I said about Tate McRae in this video? Tate McRae at the VMAs, that was the performance of the night. It was. I would have said Abracadabra, but like we got it at Coachella, which I'm going to talk about. But Tate McRae at the VMAs, I mean, she's an athlete. She's literally an athlete. She is the top of the pyramid when it comes to performance. And, you know, Sabrina Carpenter couldn't even touch Tate McRae that night. And Sabrina Carpenter had like a bigger hit to promote. So Tate McRae, you are everything. And I love how it started with Revolving Door. I just thought the staging, the blocking of that performance was so good. The choreography was amazing. Obviously, the performing in a sandpit of it all. Tate McRae, who's doing it like her? House tour on the Short and Sweet tour. And I guess the Short and Sweet tour being revamped to include Man's Best Friend. We needed this. The house tour choreography is everything I've ever wanted in life. I would die to see this live. I am so mad that I never got to see the Short and Sweet tour, because this is the first time I've been engaged in Sabrina Carpenter isms. And you know what's so insane is that in March of 2024, I was front row for Sabrina Carpenter at the Eras tour. In total, I saw her like how many times? So many times, 1,000,000 times of Sabrina Carpenter live. And I truly was front row, locked eyes with her. She could see that I didn't know the words. I looked at her and was like, because also it was the opening act, so everybody was filtering in. And I wish that I had something to cheer for. At Fast Times, Nonsense, Feather, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I wish that I could have the view that I had for the Short and Sweet tour. That would have gagged me to hell and back. Sabrina on SNL, I'm going to put it in that happened. You know what? Overall, not her best work. Not her best work. The Man-Child performance was good. That Nobody's Son thing really left a sour taste in my mouth and many other people's mouths. People weren't happy about that. So I'm going to put it there. Man-Child, just generally as a cultural moment, I'm going to put that in Everybody Moved. I think that Man-Child was a fun hit. I keep seeing people being like, that doesn't deserve Song of the Year, or XYZ variation of that conversation. I don't know why people don't want to give it its flowers. I think that Man-Child is fun. I think that it's very distinctly and uniquely Sabrina Carpenter. I like it. Man's Best Friend, in general, I have the album cover as a separate thing. But the album itself, I'm going to say we needed this. We did need this. Did we not? Can anybody make a good argument as to why we didn't need Man's Best Friend? I went into it saying if I can get 4 bangers, I'm happy. I got my 4 bangers. I'm eating my food. I'm grateful, and I'm shutting up. What about you? You should try it sometime. Role Model. Everybody moved. They weren't moving for him before this year. Let me tell you that for free. Sally, When the Wine Runs Out. It's so hard to say that fast. It's like a tongue twister. But that song really took off. I actually don't think that song is that good. That little like bridge part is good. Some Protector is a good song. That's a really good song. I also like the song Oh Gemini from his record Kansas Anymore. I didn't really think that it was that good of a record, and I still don't think that he's like the most dazzling artist in the world. His cover of Nothing New to Me, I was like, girls, why are we applauding a man just for singing a Taylor Swift song? Seriously, we need to come up with something better than that. This is embarrassing. But Role Model exists, and he's hot, and he's funny. He's really funny. I watch his TikToks. Saint Laurent Cowboy, he is really funny. Role Model has a lot of charisma, and he's going places. If he can get the music together, it's going to be good. So I'm standing. I'm not standing. But I do think that there is something there that's interesting. The Subway, Chapel Roan, that happened. I've already talked about this. They've already tried to kick my for this, and I'm still saying it. The Subway is not that interesting of a song. It's not that good. I would take The Giver over The Subway, and that's my truth. Katy Perry Band-Aids. Unfortunately, everyone didn't move. It would be nice to say that everybody moved. I think people should have moved for this more than they moved for Women's World, but it dropped out of the Spotify Top 100 the day after it came out. Hilary Duff cleared it. That's so embarrassing, Katy Perry. Like, I really do think it's past the point of no return. She spoiled the public goodwill in her favor, and people are no longer interested in her. And that is no one's fault but Katy Perry's for continuing to work with Dr. Luke and do other things that put a bad taste in people's mouth, such as going to space. We needed this. I needed Katy Perry in space. Again, as I told you, I love it when the culture rallies around something that is bad. And Katy Perry going to space felt like promo for 143 because 143 was the worst album of all time ever made. You should do some ridiculous publicity stunt that only brings you negative publicity to promote the worst album of all time. And Katy Perry in space, like the memes alone were so worth it. That was the most ridiculous celebrity excursion of 2025. And poor Katy Perry. Poor Katy Perry was right there, ready to be kicked. And they kicked her. Fame as a Gun, Addison Rae. I'm going to put that in Everybody Moved. I think that was one of the music videos that came out that made people go, wait a minute. It was like as the Addison rollout was picking up steam. And I think that is probably one of the most artistic videos that was created in this series of incredible videos that were made for this album rollout. Adele and Audrey Hobart are like interesting parallels because Audrey Hobart was completely put on by a label. Like, I don't know that she would have been able to drum up as much organic interest in her if she didn't have this label apparatus around her helping her. Adele was the exact opposite. She literally had to make it all herself. I know this firsthand. We discussed it earlier in the year before she started popping off. I immediately believed in her after I heard Superstar, and I was like, this girl is going to be a star, and it is so beautiful to watch that come to fruition. She deserves it. She's such a hard worker. She's so serious about what she does, and she cares so deeply about making a body of work and making a legacy. I'm really excited to hear a full-length project from her. I loved her EP, The Provocateur. I wish that I'd seen her on this teeny tiny tour because that girl is going places. She's going on tour with Demi Lovato. Ariana Grande, Brighter Days Ahead. Everybody moved. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put this in We Needed This. I loved Eternal Sunshine so much. Most underrated album of 2024. Snubbed by so many different people and things and entities. And Twilight Zone, Song of the Year. Song of the Year. Now, the film itself, I can give or take. I really can give or take. It's a music video. It's like All Too Well 10s. I thought it was a little bit ham-fisted towards the end, but I love Twilight Zone. And for that, I have to give it that. Gagachella. And I got to see Gagachella live because she brought the exact Lady Gaga Coachella set to Singapore. And let me tell you, that was one of the greatest shows that I've ever witnessed and experienced in my life, both when I watched it on live stream and when I saw it in person. The energy that Lady Gaga has as a performer all these years later, like, you would swear every time she steps on a stage, it's her first time on a stage. She's like actively hungry for it. And she is such a visionary. She has such a clear idea of who she is. And Mayhem is such an interesting tour de force of all the best things about Lady Gaga. Where's Mayhem? Where is Mayhem? Mayhem, I'm putting that in We Needed This. Abracadabra music video, I'm putting that in We Needed This. I was like, where are we going with this album rollout when Disease came out? And then when Abracadabra joined the fray, I was like, oh, we're so back. And a lot of people are accusing her of reheating her own nachos. And I guess she kind of is a little bit, but I'm okay with that when the subsequent material is good. As in, I really liked Sabrina reheating her nachos for Man's Best Friend. Like, it's not always a bad thing to do what people know and like from you, right? And it's not as though Gaga has not iterated and reinvented herself a million times before. Like, she has done dramatic transformations. So why can't we just let her do her own thing? Ethel Del Rey. Ethel Kane hated my Instagram post. One of the funniest things that happened all year. Lana, when she's a messy agent of chaos, is one of the funniest people in pop culture, and it's partly because she takes herself so seriously. She was dead serious about Ethel Kane, I Want You to Die. She posted that snippet. This is a fight over a man, by the way. It's a fight over a man. Lana was like, Ethel Kane body shames me. Ethel Kane said this about me. Ethel Kane blah, blah, blah. She clearly has been fed up with Ethel's offline or online behavior for some time. Ethel Kane is a prolific troll. She's been on the internet for years trolling. So if you're looking for damning evidence of Ethel Kane being XYZ thing, you're going to find it because she's been on the internet for way too long. She has way too prolific of a digital footprint. Ethel Kane also got canceled this year for a separate reason, but it is adjacent to this. And that wasn't a fun pop culture moment to me. That felt disappointing. But Ethel Kane versus Lana Del Rey, Lana posting that, so unserious. Nicki Minaj being completely enthralled by the entire thing and going on a Twitter space and being like, we need to figure out who Ethel is. Who is she? Does she really work at the Waffle House? Like, too funny. Everybody was on their best performance. Ethel posting on her Instagram story, Mother Kane has been blocked by Lana Del Rey. Everyone was trolling at like such a level of high art. It was like one of those pop culture moments that truly transcended and made a terrible year for the world a great year for the pop culture world. Demi Lovato's comeback, that happened. Not everyone moved because I do think that it was kind of bungled a little bit. It didn't take off in the way that it should have, given the material that was actually on the album. Color me surprised to learn that the album was actually pretty good, fumbled by a really strange pre-release rollout. I did think that her TikTok strategy was interesting, basically using every meme that's ever been made about her as a vehicle to promote the album instead of literally doing anything else. Ben Platt singing Diet Pepsi, I didn't like this. I don't like that man. I'm not interested. Musical theater, if you know anything about me, I don't like it. It's not for me. It's just a personal thing. I don't like musical theater singing. I don't like musical theater songs. Wicked barely gets a pass from me just because Ariana's in it. But Ben Platt, I hate it when you play teenagers and you obviously look like an adult man. Him singing Diet Pepsi, Addison Rae's version cleared. It was a pop culture moment. People cared about it. Ed Sheeran versus Swiftologist. We needed this. I needed this. Ed Sheeran, thank you for stooping down to my level. I got a moment from it and I wanted the moment. And I think that I had a just target and I clearly struck a nerve. And you know, it's all in love. I have nothing personal against Ed Sheeran. I just think it's funny that I was able to provoke a response from him. That says something to me. Short and Sweet Deluxe. Everybody moved? I think that it got eclipsed by Man's Best Friend, but Short and Sweet Deluxe actually was very good. Surprisingly good. Better than it needed to be. I really like Busy Woman in 15 Minutes. I think those are great. And the Dolly Parton collab was hilarious to me. Hilariously bad, that is. Justin Bieber, is it not clocking to you that I'm standing on business? Amazing. We needed that. That goes up there with Ethel Del Rey as like a favorite pop culture moment. And the fact that he referenced it on his album too. He's not known to be a person that has a lot of humor about himself. So I thought that was a very good moment from Justin Bieber. Man's Best Friend album cover discourse. Oh, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. There were valid points made. But again, like with the Sydney Sweeney thing, like with the Meghan Markle thing, it was one of those things that just got beaten and beaten to death. And I think Sabrina was really trapped between a rock and a hard place. I don't think that her eventual addressing of it in her interview with Gayle King, I don't think that was the most elegant way to handle that discourse, but it's her right to choose how to interact with what people say about her. And her general attitude of like, what other people say about me is not my business is true. And it's something that we all need to learn from. I need to learn from. It's an important lesson to learn. But these are my favorite pop culture moments of the year. Let me know if you guys like these like more general pop culture commentary stuff. If there's anything in this video you want me to talk more about. I know I've just been spouting off randomly for like an hour. If there's anything that you're interested in, you'd like to see, leave a comment and let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and I will see you next week. Goodbye, Swiftologists.